Manchester City dominated English football this season. Not only did they seal their second consecutive Premier League title, but they made it a treble by adding both FA Cup and League Cup. Still, Pep Guardiola isn't entirely satisfied, and he's already talked of his team starting from zero next term. New players are expected to arrive in the summer, one of which seems likely to be Joao Felix. The 19-year-old has enjoyed a breakout campaign with Benfica, scoring 20 goals in all competitions, and he may be the solution to a growing midfield dilemma. Guardiola lined his side up in a fairly unsurprising 4-3-3 shape last season. Within this system, the number 8s, usually David Silva and one of Kevin De Bruyne or Bernardo Silva, continue to take on non-traditional roles, operating in areas more advanced than those customarily associated with their position. Often, they took up positions in the channels between defenders and or between defensive lines. From here, they could cause the opposition a number of problems. They could draw out opposition centre-backs and create openings for through balls in the channel for Manchester City wingers to run onto, with inwards runs from extremely wide starting positions. They could find separation between the opposition's defence and midfield to offer a penetrative passing option. They could make forward runs in the channel to get onto the end of passes in from their wider teammates behind the opponent's back line. And on top of all of that, they could quickly react in defensive transition to help win the ball back instantly after losing it in the opposition half. Alternately, they could tactical foul and stop the opposition's counter-attack at source. The exceptional talent of Manchester City's number 8s, coupled with Guardiola's positional play, wreaked havoc for opponents. However, there is a need for new blood in this area. Ilkay Gundogan has grown into the number 6 role as an alternate to Fernandinho. De Bruyne has struggled of late with injury. Phil Foden lacks experience, and David Silva, who turns 34 next season, cannot be seen as a long-term option. With this in mind, Joao Felix might be the sort of young creator that Guardiola needs. But just what would Manchester City be getting should they sign the teenager? Felix is seen by some as Portuguese football's heir to Cristiano Ronaldo, though the more suitable comparison, positionally and stylistically, is to iconic former Fiorentina and AC Milan attacking midfielder Rui Costa. The youngster has spent much of his debut season at Benfica acting as a second striker, with license to roam laterally and vertically within manager Bruno Lage's 4-4-2 system. In this role, he has demonstrated good positional awareness, moving well on the blind side of opposition midfield lines to create passing lanes. He's also consistently gotten between defenders, pinning multiple players at once with his positioning and creating space elsewhere for teammates in the process. Once on the ball in the final third, Felix is excellent at identifying and executing penetrative passes. With a combination of imagination and sound technique with either foot, he is able to break defensive lines and set up colleagues for scoring chances. This explains why only 2 players in the league averaged more through balls than he did this season, and why only 7 obtained more goal assists. And he doesn't stop when the opposition have possession. He is willing to apply pressure and is intelligent in his closing down, thinking not only of the opponent on the ball, but the potential passing options that must be blocked off. He also doesn't act alone, communicating with teammates when pressing to ensure cohesion, and he angles his runs well to form cover shadows on opponents behind him. These qualities would be appreciated and utilised by Guardiola were Felix to move to Manchester City, though the player would need to improve in certain areas in order to thrive within the Premier League champion setup. The intensity of his pressing, particularly on transition, would need to increase. This may come with time as he develops physically, something that would also help him become tougher to knock off the ball. Unfortunately, he is 5 years younger than Bernardo Silva, 8 years younger than De Bruyne, and 14 years younger than David Silva. Time is something he would have plenty of. Felix is a highly versatile player, which again is something Guardiola admires, if not needs, in his players. The Portuguese can play behind a lone striker, out wide or in a slightly deeper midfield area, though the number 8 role within Manchester City's setup would be a unique one to adjust to. He is, however, very similar to the 2 Silvas and De Bruyne in that they all started their careers as attacking midfielders or wingers, and he, just like the aforementioned trio, possesses the technical and tactical qualities to succeed as a nominal number 8 under Guardiola. The 19-year-old is intelligent when it comes to positioning himself to enhance the attack, while he also has the control and composure to receive in congested areas of the pitch. He has an eye for a killer pass, and as shown by his goal record, he can finish off chances too. Additionally, his willingness to engage in pressing is a positive sign for someone in the formative stages of their development as a top-level player. With key players suffering from injury and the aging process, Manchester City need long-term solutions in midfield. Joao Felix could be just what they're looking for. Joao Felix and hundreds of other professional players are available to trade on Football Index, the real money football stock market. Have a look at the link below and also see details of a special promo code for Tifo viewers.